Hello, this is Jolie with Crochet Basics, and in this episode, this is the mesh backpack that I just posted. I posted 3 parts for it, actually, which part 1 was the bottom, part 2 is the mesh, and part 3, well, the mesh to the top, and part 3 was doing the lining and all of that good stuff, and how to do put the straps on, the strap adjusters, and the straps. So what I was thinking, which I said in one of the videos, what have you, is that I would do a more in-depth video on the bag. And in editing the video, I realized that it doesn't need to be more in-depth. It needs to be for more advanced, because, you know, that, like, I really, like, showed you the ins and outs of making the bag, more or less, if you were, you know, like a new crocheter to an intermediate and what have you. And I really, like, you know, so I figure this version will be everything together and for a more advanced crocheter, you know, someone who knows what they're doing, or, you know, has done, you know, similar or what have you. Okay, so, and rather than re-edit the same video that I already edited 3 times, I figured I would rework the bag for you. So I'm using Cotton Candy Barnay collection, Cotton Candy collection in a purple, and 1 skein of Fruit Punch by Sugar and Cream. And what else you need is a strap adjusters to match your bag. You can mainly get these in white and black. Lately I'm having a hard time getting a hold of the white ones. I don't know why. I just don't seem to find them online, and I don't seem to find them in the craft store either. You need an H hook, US size H8, a 5-point millimeter, a ruler, is always a tape measure, is always primo. Very important. Best tool to have when you're working with yarn, thread, whatever. Okay, the stitch adjusters. Stitch markers. These are great for later on. A scrap piece of yarn, because most of this pattern is not, you can, we're not going to slip stitch and chain and what have you. So a scrap piece of yarn in a contrasting color is perfect. And I have this little jammy, compliments of Nikki Rose on YouTube. My sister was a present, and I love this thing. It counts my rows, and I don't have to stop in between each row and mark it down with a pen and all that good stuff. All right, a ruler, well, not a ruler, a scissor, and I think that's it. As far as that's concerned, what you need for, you know, supplies or what have you, and your strap I already said. And the straps you can get primarily in white and black at the store, but if you go online, you can find them in other colors. They do make the nylon strap or what have you in other colors. So with that being said, let's get this started. And if you need to, if at any point you need, you know, to be, you know, more direction or what have you, or more information, you know, as far as the stitches and the pattern and what have you, you can always refer back to the 3 parts of this pattern that I have already on YouTube, which would be perfect, you know, because I do really go into depth. Giving you information and all that good stuff, which I always try to do. All right, so with all of that being said, I don't start with a slip knot. I do a little crossover on my hook. If you start with a slip knot, that's perfect. That's fine. That's how you learned. That's fine. All right, so you're going to chain 40. So you'll skip the first chain closest to the hook, and you'll work back in a single crochet till you get to your end, and then we're going to start working the bottom of our stitches. Alright, so in this last one, you're going to do 2 single crochets, all in the same spot, 2 single crochets. You're going to chain 2, do 2 more single crochets in that one chain, alright, and that's bringing us over to the bottom, and we're going to work our bottom stitches. Now, what I usually tell you, and I'll tell you anyway, even if you're advanced, what have you, is I don't go into the one little side of the braid when I work the bottom for a bag. I go in between so that I'm picking up 2 pieces of yarn just to reinforce it. It makes it, you know, to me it makes it a little stronger. It gives you a little more meat, a little more to grab onto as you're working. Okay, so you'll work back to your end, and then we'll do more single crochets so that we can finish off this row. So you'll work back in a single crochet across the bottom. In this last one, you'll do 2 single crochets, chain 2, and then go back in and do another single crochet. Alright, so that's what that looks like so far. And it really, this, I don't know, my lighting is bad, of course. This is what the bottom looks like when you go in and do pick up the way I told you to pick up, you know, when you go through the 2, the overlapping of the braid. So it just, it makes it neater or whatever, and I always think it just makes it stronger in my mind. Okay, so from here you're going to chain 2. Oops. So you'll chain 2, 1, 2, and you're going to do 1 half double crochet till you get down to your end where your chain space is. So you'll do 1 half double crochet in each stitch, and you can add in your scrap yarn actually. And start working down, and you should have you know, as far as you should have 86 stitches all the way around after this row. So in that chain space that you did, you're going to do, from the previous row, you're going to do 3 half double crochets right into that one chain, that chain space there. And continue working down in the half double crochet on the, you know, the other side. Okay, and then you'll do your 3 half double crochets in your chain. And you should have 86. You know, hopefully you have 86. Sometimes, you know, when you chain and all that kind of thing, you get an extra. And just a side note or whatever, I totally forgot. If you're going to line this bag, we're doing it in cotton. I always suggest a cotton liner. And you would also need a needle and thread to sew it in. and I totally forgot to mention that. Okay, so now from here you're going to work, let's see, we just did row 2. So from row 3 to row 8, finishing row 8, you'll do 1 half double crochet all the way around, 86 stitches, and you'll use your stitch marker, you'll follow it up. All right, and you want to keep your seam, you want your seam straight, and you want it on the end because it makes it easier when we're working our tabs. All right, so I'm going to shut the camera. I'm going to work 1 half double crochet for row 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and I'll be back for row 9, and I'll show you how to do the tabs to attach our strap adjusters. So there's no more, we're not slipping, or we're not doing any kind of thing like that. We're not slip stitching, chaining, just 1 half double crochet in each, and you'll follow your stitch marker as I said. Okay, so I just finished row 8 of my half double crochets. So for here, for row 9, we're going to do single crochet. So from here we're going to make our tabs, and that's what secures the strap adjusters to the bag itself. Alright, so you at this point, okay, this is the tricky part, or what have you. This part right here is the tricky part, because I can't guarantee that your seam is directly at the very edge. I can't say without a doubt the way you crocheted, the way I crocheted, and your seam is where it should be, and all that tricky stuff here. All right, so we're going to fold the bag in half, lay it as flat as possible, your bottom piece, and fold it in half. All right, and from there you're going to mark off the strap. The tabs for the strap adjusters are 5 stitches, 5 single crochet across. So you want them, to line up as best as possible, what have you. So it's easier to eyeball it, because I can tell you exactly where to put them, but your seam might not be where my seam is, and really, that's really what dictates this whole where the tabs go and stuff like that. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'll stick another one in, and then directly across I'll stick my next strap adjusters in. So my stitch markers in, I'll stick my stitch markers in. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's what that looks like. And you want everything as lined up as possible. I'm standing it up on its end, so it might not look as lined up as it could be, or should be, or what have you. Alright? I'm very serious this video around. But this is what this looks like. Alright, as far as that's concerned. So from here I'll do a single crochet until I get to my first stitch marker. Alright, so I have 6. So this is 7 is where my stitch marker is. So from here I'm going to chain 11. And I'm going to work down in a single crochet. So you'll skip the first chain, the one that's on the hook, and you'll do a single crochet in 10 of those, and then 1 at the base of the bag. So that's 10 on my tab, and then I'm going to pick the next one, the next single crochet up off of the bag, and I'm going to turn my work. So this is the tricky part, working these tabs up and stuff, because you're still on row 9, but now you're adding into row 9, so you're doing like mini crocheting or whatever, rows and stuff like that, while you're still working row 9. Alright, so you'll work back up, you'll skip that one that you just did, and you'll work back up in 1 in each, 10 single crochets. So you'll chain 1 and you'll turn your work, and you'll work back down in single crochet to the base of the bag. 1 in each. So that's 10 on the tab, and then 1 at the base, 1 on the next one over at the base, and there's no chaining or anything, so you'll just turn your work and you'll work back up in a single crochet for 10 single crochets. Chain 1, turn your work, and this is our last one down. And I know the camera's not picking up, but the color is really, it's a pretty color. Just my lighting is washing it out, I think, and making it not look so pretty. So 1 single crochet in each. And then you'll work your single crochet on the base of the bag. So you can take out your stitch marker, and we're going to work across to our next stitch marker in a single crochet. So I have 16 there. I have 16 across from there. But before you make your second tab, just fold it over again. Make sure, because you don't want to work it up and then be like, oh, it's uneven, it doesn't fit, it's not right, it looks lopsided, all that kind of good stuff. Or bad stuff or what have you. So you just want to line it up one more time and make sure. Usually I try to get them at least 20 stitches apart, because it is 86 stitches or what have you. So to me, 20 apart is what you want. So it all depends on where your seam is, because sometimes when you're working, you already know this is a more advanced video, so you already know that sometimes your seam will shift with a single crochet, not a single crochet, a chaining. Your seam will shift with chaining and what have you. It just happens. It is what it is, kind of a thing. So, and like I said, you can always refer back to the, part 1, 2, and 3 for the mesh bag, It's Crochet Basics 141, part 1, 2, and 3. If you need more direction or more information on how to do this, So now from here we're just going to work around, finish the row off in a single crochet. So, but, excuse me, okay, but you want to double check and make sure they're where you want them to be, your tabs, I don't know why I always say it that way. I think it's from hanging out with my nieces or something. Something silly like that, because I don't normally say like, but for some reason What are you going to do? So from here, you'll just work, you'll finish off this row in a single crochet all the way around. If your tabs are where you want them to be. If not, you might have to adjust, you know, if you feel you were off or whatever, what have you, whatever. I'm combining words. But at this point, where your tabs are is not, you know, necessarily like, you know, your seam is here, but as long as your ends meet exactly and your tabs line up, then you're golden. Then that's what you want, you know? That's exactly what you want. Because just because your seam is here, you don't want a tab here and then a tab like here or something, you know? You don't want that. So as long as you fold the bag in half and line them up and they meet exactly, then you're good. You're golden. Not, you know, nothing, no worries there. Alright, so that was row 9. And we made our strap tabs to attach our strap adjusters. And it's weird. I'm having a camera issue here because I'm not really zoomed in, but yet it seems like I am. I'm on a wide shot. But I feel like, I don't know. Must be my tripod. Okay, now with this, bunch of different companies make these. They are easy to get. They are not in any type of yarn section. They are in the sewing section. If you are in the store, what have you, they do not carry these. Like, these are not really for us, you know, hookers or what have you. They're more for, I guess they assume only people that sew, make bags or need these or what have you. Anyway, but that's where I find them, in the sewing section. You can find them on the internet. They're, you know, lately I'm having like I said, I'm having a hard time finding them in white. I seem to only find them in black lately, which is fine, you know, depending on the color of the bag. But if I'm making a lighter color bag and I'm, you know, going to use a white strap or whatever, I like to match. I don't want to have black strap adjusters and a white strap that just, you know, or a lighter color strap. But that's me. You know, I do me, you do you. That's how that goes. All right, so I'm going to stick this on, and you're sticking it in the second bar down. That's where we're going to go. We're going to stick this through. Now, sometimes you'll have a problem, and this little divot thing, that's how you know that's the back. Okay, so this is the front, this is the back, where the little divot is. And as far as I can tell, I've bought a few different brands of these strap adjusters, and they always seem to have a divot in the back, you know. So, with that being said, sometimes you'll have a problem getting the tab through. If you do have a problem, you know, because this is a wider piece that you're trying to shove through a little tiny area, I usually use a smaller hook. I always say, you know, get a smaller hook and, you know, finagle it through without messing up the tab and making it look all, you know, messed up and worn out and whatever. All right, so that's where my first one will go, and you want to make sure that you're putting them on correctly, both facing the same direction, you know, both perfectly facing, you know, the front side is facing you, and not one, you know, one on backwards, because I've done that before and it's very upsetting, because it's you know, you feel like, even though a lot of times nobody will notice, you know, it's only you noticing. It's just like, oh, I can't believe I put that on backwards. I'm such a goose. All right. So from here, I really feel the camera is just not picking up the prettiness of this color yarn. Anyway, so you're going to work in a single crochet, and you'll follow your scrap yarn, your stitch marker, and you'll work to your first tab, of course. So now from here we're going to secure the tab closed. Alright, so you're going to pick up the top of your tab where your chain, your chain 1 and where you turned. And then you're going to go through to where row 8 is actually where you're going to pick up. So the row below where we first started working. And because you used up 5 stitches to make your tabs, you used up the 5 stitches that you had there, we're going to put them back in. Alright, so that they're there and we can work them for the next row and all that good stuff. So you'll go through 5 times in a single crochet, closing up this tab through the top of the tab and row 8. So that's 2, here's 3, and line it up as best as you can. Here's 4, and it's a little tricky, it's a little hard, but but we're rebels and we're gonna do it. And here's 5 for me, or maybe not. Try that again. And you want to try and get as close to the edge as possible, on the tab for closing it up. So, and it'll be on a little bit on a slant, because we're crocheting from right to left. That's just how that goes. So you'll continue on in your single crochet till you get to your next tab, and then you'll do the same exact thing and close that one up as well. And then you'll continue on in a single crochet for the rest of row 10 until you get to, your stitch marker. Okay, so that's row 10. Our strap adjusters are on, our tabs are closed, and we're still using our scrap yarn as a stitch marker. So now from here, you're going to do one more row of single crochet for the bottom. And you just want to get a count of how many stitches you have, because you want 86. That's what we started off with, and that's what we want to keep, and all that wonderful stuff. And if you you can look, just to show you, you can fold your pieces in half and look straight down and see if your strap adjusters line up. And it's from edge to edge. It's don't go by your seam. Your seam is just counting your rows, and so you can't really go by that as far as that's concerned, because your seam could end up over here, and then where are you putting your strap adjusters? You're gonna put one here and one at the very edge, so don't go by your seam. This part is definitely eyeballing it, and that's just how that goes, because I can't say without a doubt that you crochet like I do, or your seam came exactly where mine did, because we're working in the round, and it's not back and forth. Back and forth is different. Working in the round, but you already know that, and all that good stuff. Okay, so for row 11, one single crochet in each, count your stitches. Hopefully you have 86. If you have more than 86, you're going to have to drop some. You're going to have to crochet a few together, and so that we can start our working our mesh, our chaining, and all that good stuff. Okay, so I come up with 88. So I'm going to pull a couple of stitches out and drop 2 stitches. Not right up on each other. I don't want like a little lump or whatever kind of a thing. So just to get it back to 86. With that, now we're going to start working our mesh. Okay, so mesh, 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 mesh. Now I'm doing a color change for my mesh. I found a multicolor that is super cute. Fruit Punch is the name of it. Don't you love that? I love fun colors. All right, but this purple, and I always tell you whatever, and I don't really have to tell you this, but multicolored yarns, you're not really going to find one that's an exact match to a solid. It's always a little bit the shade, you know, a shade off or so. You know, it's dyed differently. It's not, you know, it's not the same. It's dyed differently and all that good stuff. So, if you're going to do that, you know, as best as you possibly can as far as matching it up and all that, you know. So, I'm using Fruit Punch to go with my bag. So, and I know my camera is not really showing it, but if you look, it is a shade off on the purple. It's not exact, which is fine. Doesn't matter to me. You know, it's beautiful either way, and it is what it is. So, with that being said, we're going to. I'm doing color change here in my corner here, and if you're going to work in all one color, then you're not doing a color change now, are ya? All right. Gonna pull it through. Not a big deal. It's the only reason why it seems like a big deal right here is because I just did a color change through dropping a stitch through to crocheting tog, T-O-G, 2 together. All right. So from here, I'm going to chain 2. And I'm going to do a double crochet into my first stitch here. Alright, so now from here, you're going to, for the mesh, it is chain 3, skip 2 for this first row, for row 12, all the way around. And you won't use your scrap yarn anymore because the mesh will be too loose to fit that in. So you'll chain 3, 1, 2, 3. You'll skip 2 on the bag, 1, 2, and then you'll do a single crochet in the next one. And you'll repeat that all the way around. Chaining 3, skipping 2, and a single crochet in that third stitch. For row 12 we're on. Okay, so I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, and then go right into my first chain that I made, my first chain 3. And right around it, you're not going through the chains, you're going around them. And, you know, a little looser, you want it to have the movement where it can shift and all that good stuff. All right, so from row 13, and this will all loosen up, all that good stuff. From row 13 through row 28, you're going to work the mesh, the chain 3 single crochet around your chains from the previous row, and you'll work that all the way around. And like I said, if you need more help, you need to see more info, all that other stuff, you know, then this is in part 2. Working the mesh is in part 2 of my video, Crochet Basics 141, and it's part 2. It's the mesh bag, and you know, I'll show you, it shows you more. It gives you more information than this one. This video is for more advanced, you know, people that don't need all the info that I try and give you, you know, all that good stuff. Okay, so I'm going to work mine, you work yours, and I'll come back when I finish row 28, and we'll start closing up our mesh and all that good stuff. So you can pause it here, or, you know, come back. Hopefully you're subscribed, and come back, and then we'll close up our mesh. So pause here or whatever you got. So I'm at row 28. I just finished row 28, working the mesh. All right, and this is how it looks so far. And I used a multicolored this time around for the center, for the mesh, just to spice it up and all that good stuff, or what have you. So now for row 29, what we're going to do is we're going to start to close up our mesh. So you can follow your seam where your stitch marker is, but what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pull this last chain out, because I want my seam on the very edge of the side, because when we do our loops to put in our strap, it just makes it easier as far as putting in the strap and putting in the loops and everything for the cinch closure and what have you. So I'm actually going to cut my multicolored yarn and switch back to the solid purple that I used on the bottom. So you'll leave a tail for weaving in if you did it this way, if you did it with a different color or what have you. So for row 29, I'm going to attach my yarn. If you did it all one color, you're not doing this. But I'm going to do my color change back to what I had. What you're going to do here is a single crochet. You did your single crochet. So you'll do another single crochet. And don't worry about it. Like if you're, you know, you want your seam as close to the edge as possible. So if, you know, if your row ends here, don't end it there, because you're not really going to be able to tell that it doesn't match. And there's ways around, you know, making it even, stuff like that, you know. But you're going to single crochet. You're going to chain 1, skip that single crochet from the previous row, and you'll do 2 single crochets around that chain space, around your chains, chain 1, and then skip over the single crochet and do another 2 single crochets, and you'll repeat that all the way around with the chain 1, skipping over, and then doing 2 single crochets around your chains for this row, for row 29. So we're closing up the chaining, the mesh, we're closing it up, but we're doing it just a little one row slow, so to speak. Alright, so now I'm back where I started. So now for row 29, row 30, blah blah. Alright, so now for row 30, we're going to start a single crochet in each stitch around. So you'll go in and you'll do a single crochet in each one of your single crochets, and then 1 single crochet in the chain space. Okay, so you're picking up 2 of the single crochets, your 2 single crochets, 1, 2, and then 1 in the chain space. So we're closing up the mesh for this, for row 30. So also you want to get a count as far as how many single crochets, because we're going to drop stitches. If you're most likely going to have more than what you had when we started on the bottom. You're going to have more than 86, and you want to have 86 stitches for when we do the top. You want, same as the bottom as the top. So as you're going, as you're doing your single crochets, count your stitches and see how many you have, because we are going to drop stitches back to 86. And almost every, I don't want to say I always, but I want to say I almost always have more than 86 for when closing up the mesh. So yet again, I have 89 stitches. I always seem to come up with 89 stitches, so you probably have the same, most likely. I'm going to drop my 3 stitches. I'm going to pull out a little bit, and I'm going to drop them, not all in the same spot, but just to make it even, I'm just going to drop a couple together, which, you would crochet them together to drop them. So now you should be back, you should drop yours and be back to 86 stitches. So now from here, from row 31, 2, 3, and 4, from row 31 to 34, 1 single crochet in each stitch all the way around, and you should have 86 all together. Alright, so if you have another scrap piece of yarn, that works best, because we're not slip stitching or any kind of thing, We're just going around in our single crochet, following our yarn or whatever. So I'm just going to add a scrap yarn in, and I will be back momentarily with ready to make our loops to make the cinch closure and add in our straps. Okay, so I hope if you're making this, I hope you like it so far. For row 35, we're going to make our loops so that we can put in our cinch closure and our strap. And the strap is the closure, okay, in case you didn't realize, what have you, or you didn't watch the other videos, all that kind of good stuff. Alright, so from here we're going to start double crocheting and making our loops here. So you're going to do 10 double crochets, 1 double crochet in the first 10 stitches for row 35 we're on. So you're going to chain 3. So 1, 2, 3. You'll skip 2 of your braids. 1, 2 stitches on the bottom, and you'll double crochet in the third one. So, and then from there you're gonna double crochet in the next, well, it's 20 across, so you'll double crochet in the next 19 stitches. And you might have to eyeball this, like you might have to count and do it that way, because your seam might not be exactly where my seam is, and you want it to line up more or less. You don't want it to be too narrow. You want it to lay flatter on your back. Alright, so I'm going to do 20 double crochet across the back. But just to, make sure that you're all lined up and stuff like that, okay? So you're going to do another chain 3 and skip 2, and then work in a double crochet, and then you'll double crochet for the next 9 stitches, so 10 total. So with that, hopefully you're at the end. Sorry, I got all my little wrappers in my way here. Alright, so hopefully you're at the end of your the back of the bag itself. Alright, so from here we're going to work more loops or what have you, but before you start working them, you want to make sure you're, you know, more or less kind of lined up, you know, as best as possible. It doesn't have to be exact. It's not supposed to be exact. But, you know, you want to make sure that it's even as far as your end stitches and all of that. Alright, so from here, we just did our 10 double crochet. So you'll do another chain 3, 1, 2, 3, skip 2, and then double crochet. And you're going to double crochet for the next 6 stitches, and then we'll chain 3 again. Chain 3, skip 2, and you'll work that till you get to your end. Actually, you'll repeat this for the row. So in the end, you'll at your end, you'll do another chaining with a double crochet. Alright, so you should have an even amount of loops. I'm sorry, my yarn is all knotted up, which is funny because I pulled it from the center, but this skein is actually not necessarily meant for that. So if you're a hooker, you know. If you've been hooking a long time, you know that happens. That, you know, just because you can pull it from the center doesn't mean that you actually should, because it's not necessarily meant to be pulled from the center. But you should have an even amount of loops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I have 8. So from here, you can, we're going to finish up or whatever. But just in case, if you wanted to check, you know, your placement and all that good stuff, you can, you know, try your strap out. So, and different, you know, you can get these all over, what have you. When I bought these online, not this one, but I have bought these online. They're not necessarily the thickness of the ones that you can get in the store. But when you get them online, on the computer, I think I got them off of eBay. So I bought this off of eBay, actually. Love me some eBay. And I love this. This you can cut it to length, you know. So if you're, you know, like I'm tall, so, and I like my bag to hang a little bit lower, you know, than right up on my neck because I'm tall. So these are great. You can cut it longer than 60 inches. Usually these prepackaged ones or whatever are exactly 60 inches, you know, so that gives you 30 inches per strap, you know, per left and right. But, you know, sometimes that's a little snug. It's a little bit of a snug fit, so, you know, if you're tall. So what you can do is you can check it. Wait, exactly. Okay, so it would come out in the back and not in, so that you can feed it through your strap adjuster and all that good stuff. So if you wanted to try it just, you know, before you finish up and stuff, because you know what, once you know, it's always a conundrum, right? Once you get, you know, the finishing rows in, you sure as heck do not want to pull out however many rows just to you know, fix it up and stuff, because that's a pain in the neck, right? So you should always, you know, try it as best you can, just to make sure that, you know, it's how you want it to fit or what have you. And the only reason I went with the black strap is because I had the black strap adjusters. And even though I don't think it really shows how the color purple that I used for the bag, but I really, like, I could not find white strap adjusters. I mean, black is fine for, you know, this is like a spring/summer bag, so normally I don't think I would do a black handle for an open stitch bag. Well, in this color, I guess, you know, because to me this is springy. But it is what it is. So you would feed your straps through your adjusters and you know, make sure everything is where you want it to be, more or less, before we work any more rows. So, and that's how that'll close up, which I dig it. I like it, you know, because more or less, you know, my bag shouldn't be open unless it's on, you know, off of my back and I'm digging from a wallet or, you know, digging for a lipstick or whatever. And, you know, that's how that goes. So you would just feed that through and it comes out the front. There you go. So that's what that would look like if the camera picks it up. It's always tricky. Sometimes my light is too far back or too far forward, and sometimes I'm cooking and sometimes I'm in shadow. So but that's what that would look like. And here's your front. So now to finish off, you're going to do 3 more rows, row 36, 37, and 38, in a single crochet. And just like we did, picking up 2 single crochets where the loops are, what have you, so that you're not adding in too many stitches. You know, you don't want it to be too, it might ruffle up, you know, might look ruffled or what have you. Or, you know, not sit right, not lay right, or what have you. Alright, so that's just to show you what the strap would look like, and then the strap adjusters and and you want to make sure that you have the correct amount of holes, you know, loops for the, to put your strap through. Because if you have an odd number of loops, it's not going to go through. You're going to have craziness going on. So now for row 36, 37, and 38, you'll do 1 single crochet in each stitch around, and you'll only pick up 2 single crochet in your chain 3 space. So, which is, you know, it's tricky, but it'll even out, you know, better. It'll lay more flat. It won't have a weird ruffle look or whatever, you know. From there, you can line the bag. If you're going to do it, I always say, like, line it in cotton, because we used cotton, but not for anything. Always use cotton liners. Cotton liners or cotton polyester liners, they are more rigid. They hold their shape better, as far as crochet or knit, you know, soft outer layer, what have you, you know, because this isn't leather. This isn't going to, like, you know, stay stiff or what have you. And and you'll sew it in the liner. You'll cut your ends, you'll weave them in. If you do the liner, do it below your loops. Okay, so, you know, maybe 2 rows below your loops, so that it doesn't hit anything, it doesn't wear it out or any kind of thing like that. All right, so with all of that, all of my knowledge, all of that being said, thank you so much for watching. Happy hooking, as always, because it keeps you off the streets, totally keeps you out of trouble, you know? Who gets in trouble crocheting, really? And I will be back after this video. I'll be back very soon. Thank you so much for watching. If you need more in-depth information on this bag, refer to my other videos, Crochet Basics Part 1, 2, and 3. Shows you for episode 141 is the mesh bag, and I go more into depth, you know, more detailed, what have you, more information on making the bottom and doing our mesh and then closing it up, you know, and putting in the straps and all that good stuff. And thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, come back. I'll have more videos. I'm on Instagram and Facebook fan page and blah blah blah, all that good stuff that you know, puts me out there and helps you learn crocheting better, and, you know, different patterns and stuff like that. You know, it's always good to learn different types of things if you're really into it, you know, if you love the crochet and stuff, which I do. All right, so thank you so much. Crochet Basics with me, Jolie. And come back and we'll make more patterns together. We'll make more purses and amigurumis. All right, thank you so much, and have a super duper great day, afternoon, evening, whatever it is. All right, thank you. Take care. Bye.